All right. So Rabbi said we have a very important halacha that we're going to be doing today, Be'ezus Hashem. A halacha that is Nageya this year many times. Chazdei Hashem. We've got a number of 3-day Yomim Tovim coming up. We've got 2 days of Yom Tov followed by Heilige Shabbos Kodesh. And we're zocheh to have that numerous times over the next few weeks. Starting with, of course, Rosh Hashanah Haba Aleinu L'Tova. And then, of course, we've got it again, the first day Sukkot, and then Simchas Torah Shmini Atzeres Be'ezus Hashem. So this is very exciting, which is why we have to know the halachos very well. We have to understand, we have to be well versed to know exactly what yes to do, what not to do, how to do it, when to do it, and what needs to be done. We'll start with this. We'll start with the pasuk in the Torah, because after all, that's where everything begins. Where the pasuk says in Parashas Bo, Shemois Perek Yud Beis, pasuk Tezayin, Ubayoyim Arishim Mikra Kodesh, Uvayim Hashvi Mikra Kodesh Yerochem, Kol Malacha Lo Ye'oseh Bohem. Very important. Don't do any malacha. Ach asher yachal l'chol nefesh hu levad yaseh lachem. There's an Indian of doing oichel nefesh is mutter on Yom Tov. On Yom Tov, a person is allowed to do some malachas that relate to oichel nefesh, like cooking, baking, of course, with certain heterim, at certain situations. Not everything is mutter, no. But in some cases, we allow a person to do that which is also on Shabbos Kodesh, would be mutter on Yom Tov. However, the Gemara tells us very, very clearly, the Gemara says in Beitzah Tezvavam and Beis, the Gemara says, bringing many rayas to this, that you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov, okay. But that's only if you're eating it on Yom Tov. If you need to eat it on a day that's not Yom Tov, that's an Issa D'Oraisa. That you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to cook on Yom Tov for after Yom Tov. You could cook on Yom Tov for Yom Tov, but not for after Yom Tov. So now we have a kasha. And the kasha is a very simple one. When you have a 3-day Yom Tov, and you have, it happens Nageya was by 2-day Yom Tov, but this is Nageya many times with a 3-day Yom Tov. So you got a Yom Tov on Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, and then you got Shabbos Kodesh after that. What does it mean? What am I meant to do to prepare for Shabbos? Am I allowed to prepare on Yom Tov for Shabbos Kodesh? Meaning, when it comes, for example, to making the Heilige Tavshilin, and I want to put it on Friday, which again, I'm allowed to cook on Yom Tov in many situations. So I can put stuff into the crock pot that was previously, of course, plugged in before Yom Tov, because I'm allowed to cook on Yom Tov. But when am I using this Tavshilin? Shabbos Kodesh, for the Kiddush after davening. So then the question is, I'm cooking on Yom Tov for after Yom Tov. So now the question is, how am I allowed to do that? So the answer is, when you have something called an Eiruv Tavshilin. An Eiruv Tavshilin will allow you to cook on Yom Tov for after Yom Tov, meaning for Shabbos Kodesh, even though you're not eating it on Yom Tov itself. Okay? Now first of all, where does it come from? Where's the Makor? Meichatei said that this works. So if the owner remembers, I don't know if the owner remembers when we were standing not so long ago, we were standing by the Tzin of the Heilige Maharal of Prague, in Prague, and we mentioned this specific Yisoid. So we're going to mention it again. First of all, the Gemara in Yuma Chov Ches says, a Gavaldige Zach. The Gemara in Yuma tells us that Avram Avinu kept all of the Torah, including Eiruv Tavshilin. It's interesting. Out of all the examples that he could have brought, what Avram Avinu kept, he kept the halacha, the mitzvah of Eiruv Tavshilin. So everybody asks, why Eiruv Tavshilin? Sepas Eiruv Tavshilin. Maybe he kept everything else also. Avada he did, but why does it mention specifically in the Gemara in Yuma Chav Ches that Avram Avinu kept everything, including Eiruv Tavshilin? So there are many tzirutzim on this. Many people talk about it. Rav Schwab Zatzal speaks about it as well, and he says that Avram Avinu was keeping the Torah before the Torah was given as a preparation for Klal Yisrael, who were going to receive the Torah, but that doesn't really answer Eiruv Tavshilin. So there's a Mordechai Maharal. We spoke about it by the Tzion. The Maharal explains that this is Netzach Yisrael. Looking it up, it's in Perek Memvov. And the Maharal writes a beautiful idea, and I'll just say it very quickly because I want to get to the halachas. The Maharal says that Yom Tov is a taste of the days of Mashiach. Just like Shabbos is a taste, Chazal tell us, of Olam Haba, Yom Tov, Zuk the Maharal, is a taste of Yemoisa Mashiach. Which means if that's the case, in order, says the Maharal, for a Yid to go from this mundane world into the time of Mashiach, there needs to be an in-between stage. There needs to be a preparation. And that preparation is signified by Eiruv Tavshilin. Because what is Eiruv Tavshilin, explains the Maral. Eiruv Tavshilin means that I'm preparing on Erev Yontov, because you make the Eiruv Tavshilin before Yontov starts, so that my Shabbos preparations have already began before Yontov. Once my Shabbos preparations have began before Yontov, I can now continue them on Yontov for Shabbos, because they started already. Zug the Maral, that's why Avraham Avinu kept Erev Tavshilin. It's that inyan of preparation. It's that inyan of preparation for Yemoisa Mashiach that we're all waiting for, mechalishing for. And Be'ezus Hashem Yisparach today, we hope, Be'emunah Shalema, we believe and we hope that it's going to be today, that Be'ezus Hashem, we're going to have the binyan by Shlishi, Mashiach is going to come. It's going to be a big issue for all of Klal Yisrael, Be'ezus Hashem. But Zug the Maral, that's the pshat, why Avraham Avinu kept Eiruv Tavshilin. There's the gan Arichos, which of course we're not going to at this moment of time, because I do want to get to some of the halachos. But the main kasha that everybody asks on Eiruv Tavshilin is as follows. If there's an Issa D'Oraisa for a person to cook on Yontov for after Yontov, how can a Durabonon, how can the rabbis allow you to make an Eiruv Tavshilin and now you're allowed to cook on Yontov for Shabbos when it's a D'Oraisa? How can you do that? It's a D'Oraisa to cook from Yontov after Yontov. Very good, the Durabonon came along and said, I have a mitzvah called Eiruv Tavshilin that will allow you. A Durabonon allows a D'Oraisa? How does that work? Avrumi, you hear the kasha, right? What's pshat? This is the greatest kasha in Eiruv Tavshilin. So the Gemara asks this kasha, it's not my kasha, the Gemara talks about it in Beitza, and the Gemara brings down two answers. And the answers are as follows. Shitas Rabbah. Rabbah learns a yisoid called hoyel. Hoyel means, since it could have been eaten on Yontov, meaning you got to make it early enough, you got to make the food early enough, and it's shayach to have been eaten on Yontov itself, since it's hoyel, and midoraisa it's mutter, it's only a shayla of a Durabonon. On a Durabonon, Eiruv Tavshilin is mutter. You with me? That's Rabbah. Look up the Gemara. Beautiful Gemara. Shita number 2. Dov, you with me on that one? Shita number 2 is Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda comes along. He doesn't like the mahalach of hoyel. He disagrees with Rabbah's pshat of hoyel because it could have been eaten on Yontov. Therefore, with the rice, it's mutter mechadeisa. Rav Chisda doesn't like it. Rav Chisda doesn't like it. So according to Rav Chisda wants to say that lemaisa, even midaraisa, to cook on Yontov Shabbos midaraisa is mutter because it's got the same kedusha. Yontov and Shabbos, Avada Shabbos has a different kedusha, but the inyan of kedusha is not cooking for during the week. I'm not cooking on Yontov for a weekday, chas v'shalom. I'm cooking on Yontov for a Shabbos, which is why lemaisa at the end of the day he says midaraisa that will be mutter because it's got the same kedusha. But midrabanon they said you're not allowed. Midrabanon once it's midrabanon, and maybe the rabbanon come along and say Eiruv Tavshilin. Are the item with me? Shimon, you with me? Good, Gavaldik, right? Moish, good, Gavaldik. Now we're going weiter. Now, next, let's get very quickly through some of the halachas in that case. That means, if anyone is planning to do a melacha on Yontov, on Rosh Hashanah second day, for example, in order to prepare for Shabbos Kodesh, right? We're speaking about, for example, I want to go to the mikveh. Erev Shabbos Kodesh, we go to the mikveh. But Erev Shabbos Kodesh is Rosh Hashanah. So am I preparing by going to the mikveh on Rosh Hashanah afternoon for Shabbos, which is Asa? Do I need an Eiruv Tavshilin or do I not need an Eiruv Tavshilin in that case? So the general halacha is like this. We make an Eiruv Tavshilin on Erev Yontov, right? So this year it'll be Wednesday. Sometime on Wednesday we'll make an Eiruv Tavshilin. And that will be, so to speak, starting the preparations for Shabbos Kodesh. And once I started before Yontov, then Memela on Yontov, because I have an Eiruv Tavshilin, I can cook for Shabbos Kodesh. Now, who has to make an Eiruv Tavshilin? Anyone that's planning to do malacha. So the kasha is, what if you have a bocha in yeshiva, for example? He's not really planning on doing many malachas, or maybe the malachas that he's planning on doing, what's the din with those things? For example, lighting Shabbos candles, right? A woman or a bocha in yeshiva that should be lighting hadlakas saneris for Shabbos Kodesh, whether it's in the dira or whether it's in the building of the yeshiva. What is the din with lighting Shabbos candles? Or any woman that likes Shabbos candles, when are they lighting Shabbos candles? They're doing it tzvidov before Shabbos Kodesh, but it's on Yontov. So they're preparing on Yontov for Shabbos. So how are you allowed to do that? You know, the answer is you have an Eiruv Tavshilin. So the question is, what happens if that's the only malacha that you'll be doing? Do you require an Erev Tavshilin or not? It's a mitzvah. We should definitely be required to do that. Some of the posts can bring down, and it's in Karelis and others, that it's kedai for a person to leave malachos to be done on Yom Tov Shabbos just to be yot to the mitzvah with a bracha and other shitas of Erev Tavshilin because you want to do the mitzvah. It's a beautiful mitzvah to do. How often do we get to do such a mitzvah and made a beautiful bracha of Erev Tavshilin? According to most poskim, Rav Lashem was machmir, but according to most poskim, that if the yeshiva makes an Erev Tavshilin for the olam, especially using yeshiva food, especially if the Rosh Yeshiva makes it, then since they're soymech al shulchanai, mimela, it's considered as if they all made an Erev Tavshilin, they yotzu the yeshiva's Erev Tavshilin, and if they yotzu the yeshiva's Erev Tavshilin, then you don't have to worry about making your own one. But again, if a person, for example, Sukkot's first days could be Negeya. Sukkot's first days, a person is going away, he's staying somewhere, ask them to include you, especially if you're planning on taking your machsa, for example, or whatever it may be that you might be doing, that could be Negeya, that is important. Any malacha is included and requires a Erev Tavshilin. Preparing food, heating up food, for example, very Negeya. When you're heating up food for the Friday night Seder, Yom Tov afternoon. Again, you're preparing on Yom Tov for Shabbos. You're not cooking, I'm heating up. But once again, I'm doing a malacha in order to go from Yom Tov to Shabbos. I will require an Erev Tavshilin. Washing dishes in hot water, lighting candles we spoke about. Carrying, for example, a person's carrying his talis, going to daven in a different shul. A person, for example, is eating a Friday night meal, right? This could be the gay Rosh Hashanah as well. Sometimes Rosh Hashanah, this year, the Olam is eating out Friday night by different people, and they were in yeshiva in Yom Tov afternoon, Rosh Hashanah afternoon. They're going somewhere to eat Friday night. They want to take their machsa. They want to take their machsa because they want to have their machsa with them, or they want to take their talis, whatever it may be. Again, you're preparing on Yom Tov for Shabbos if you're leaving on Yom Tov. So therefore, you will require an Erev Tavshilin or be included in an Erev Tavshilin that is being made for you. However, some non-malachas do not require Erev Tavshilin. For example, folding clothing, tidying the room, rolling a sefer Torah, all of these things are not really called a malacha. Maybe they will not require an Erev Tavshilin in that case. So the poskim ask, what about going to mikvah? Right, what about going to mikvah? I'm going to mikvah Rosh Hashanah afternoon. Again, it's not again Rosh Hashanah, it's again Sukkot, Simchas Torah. Person wants to go Erev Shabbos to mikvah, which is Yom Tov. Is he preparing or not? So the poskim say, Avada it's mutar. You don't even need the Erev Tavshilin for that. Why? Because you're not really preparing. You're getting the kedusha of Shabbos right now. Right? Anyone that looked at the Ben Ish Chai or other kavanas of the mikvah, you're getting the kedusha of the mikvah right now on Yom Tov itself. So I'm not really preparing for Shabbos. Avada, I'm doing it at Kavod Shabbos Kodesh, and the seventh kavana happens to be that way. Whatever. The point is that you go in order to get the kedusha, and you get the kedusha now. Memela zuk the poskim, you can go, and it's not called preparing, and therefore that's going to be mutar without any problem whatsoever. What needs to be used and made for an Erev Tavshilin? So the Mishnah brings a heilige Shlach Kodesh. The Shlach Kodesh brings down that the hid mitzvah that if a person can, he should use meat, he should use fish, he should use something good. Why? You're meant to use something that's cooked if you want to cook, and baked if you want to bake. That's why the minig of most places is you take a matzah and you take an egg, a boiled egg. This way you've got one cooked item, one baked item, and then what you do is, the Maharal brings down, the Mishnah brings it also b'shem the Shlah, is that you'll take it and you'll use it for all the matzah, for all three sudas of that Shabbos, and you'll eat the egg and the matzah by shalosh shitas, right? Because you used it for one mitzvah, you use it for another mitzvah, and also then there's an inyan of eating the Erev Tavshilin on Shabbos Kodesh itself, because again, the whole idea is preparing on before Yom Tov before Shabbos, but before Yom Tov begins in that case. So Rabbi said there's a lot of halachos as well that a person can go through. If you get stuck, if you want to know more, of course, you could look at this Gavaldiga book over here. You can see more about it. But the Indian is, Rabbi Sai, make sure that you have Erev Tavshilin, you know about Erev Tavshilin, and Be'ez Hashem, we should be Zaycha to prepare ourselves for Yemoshe Mashiach, like the Maharal said. Have an amazing day.